Have you ever woken up with a dull ache behind your eyes or across your forehead and wondered for just a second, what if this is something serious? Maybe you've been sitting quietly in your kitchen sipping on your morning tea, and that ache starts to creep in again. It feels familiar, but this time it lingers, and for a moment your mind whispers a thought you'd rather not hear. Could this be something worse than a tension headache? Could this be something dangerous like a brain tumor? It's a scary thought, isn't it? And I want you to know you are not alone in thinking it. Many people over 60 experience more frequent headaches than they did in their younger years, and it's only natural to worry. Today, I want to talk with you, not at you, about something that could genuinely give you peace of mind or even save your life. We're going to look at how to tell the difference between an ordinary tension headache and those few but very real warning signs that your headache might be something more serious. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 red flags that doctors urge us never to ignore. We'll share real stories, we'll look at what science says about these warning signs, and we'll talk about what you can do if you notice them in yourself or a loved one. And make sure you stay with me until the very end, because I'm going to tell you about a simple 2-minute technique doctors recommend that could change how you manage headaches for the rest of your life. So let's start with something that sounds simple, but is so important. A tension headache is usually that tight band feeling around your head, often caused by stress, dehydration, or even poor posture. But here's the first red flag to watch out for: a headache that's new and different from anything you've ever felt before. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 72-year-old retired teacher who loved gardening. For years, she had the usual tension headaches that came after long afternoons weeding in the sun. But one spring, she noticed something different. Instead of that dull squeeze across her forehead, she felt a sharp stabbing pain at the back of her head that would wake her up at night. Margaret tried to ignore it, thinking it was just age catching up with her. But after a few weeks, the pain started interfering with her balance. Her daughter convinced her to see a neurologist. It turned out to be a small but treatable growth pressing against a nerve. Margaret's doctor told her a new type of headache, especially after age 50, deserves a closer look. Research backs this up. A 2019 study in the Journal of Neurology found that in people over 50, a headache described as first or worst ever was associated with serious underlying causes nearly 20% of the time. That doesn't mean every new headache is dangerous, but it does mean your body's telling you something you shouldn't ignore. Another red flag is when your headache steadily worsens over time instead of staying the same or coming and going. Take Richard, a 68-year-old who spent most of his retirement fishing along the coast. He'd always had the occasional mild headache from long days in the sun, but then he noticed something unsettling. Over a few months, his headaches went from mild to severe. He started needing stronger and stronger painkillers, and he noticed they were worse when he coughed or bent over. His wife finally insisted they go to the doctor. Tests revealed increased pressure inside his skull from fluid buildup, something that required treatment. Doctors often explain that headaches from tension or dehydration don't usually get progressively worse. They might come and go depending on stress or hydration, but they don't form a pattern of escalation. A steadily worsening headache can sometimes be a sign of something affecting the structures inside your head, like a growth or swelling. The Mayo Clinic advises that if your headaches are getting worse week after week, or they're waking you up at night, it's time to talk to your doctor. Now let's connect these points to what you can actually do. If you've noticed a headache that feels completely new, or one that is getting worse over weeks or months, don't dismiss it. Write down when it happens, what it feels like, and what you were doing before it started. This information is incredibly helpful to your doctor. And please remember, going in for an evaluation isn't overreacting. It's giving yourself and your loved ones peace of mind. I know this can feel heavy and maybe even a little frightening, but think of Margaret and Richard. Because they listened to their bodies and sought help, they got the right treatment at the right time. And they're both back to their gardens and fishing trips. That is what I want for you. If this is resonating with you, I would love for you to take a moment and tell me in the comments how old you are or where you're watching from. It makes me so happy to know we're walking through this together. And remember, we still have more to talk about, because there are other red flags that can be just as important. Let's keep going. Now that we've talked about how a brand new headache, or one that keeps getting worse, can be a signal to pay attention, let's move on to another warning sign that many people overlook. Sometimes a headache isn't just about pain in your head. It can come with other changes in your body or your thinking that tell you something more serious might be happening. Let me share the story of Samuel, a 70-year-old grandfather who loved playing cards every Sunday afternoon. For years, he managed the occasional tension headache with a bit of rest and a glass of water. But recently, his headaches began to arrive with something unusual. During a card game, in the middle of explaining his hand, he suddenly couldn't find the words. His friends noticed he looked confused, as if the conversation had slipped away from him. The headache came soon after. At first, he laughed it off, thinking he was just tired. But when it happened again, and he also felt weakness in his right arm, his daughter insisted on taking him to the emergency room. Doctors discovered a small mass affecting his speech and movement centers. Early treatment made all the difference in his recovery. Experts explain that headaches linked to serious issues often come with neurological symptoms. Neurological simply means anything related to your brain and nervous system. According to research published in the journal, Neurology reviews warning signs like confusion trouble, speaking weakness on one side, or even changes in vision can sometimes point to something that needs urgent medical care. So if a headache is paired with these kinds of symptoms, it's not the time to wait and see. It's time to get checked right away. Another red flag is when your headaches are triggered by certain activities that usually wouldn't cause pain. Imagine you're leaning down to tie your shoe, or you cough, or you strain slightly while lifting groceries, and suddenly a headache pounds through your head like a drum. That is exactly what happened to Helen, a 66-year-old retired librarian. She was perfectly fine walking into her kitchen one morning, but when she bent over to pick up a dropped spoon, a sudden explosive headache knocked her back against the counter. She described it later as a thunderclap, like something had burst in her head. Her husband immediately called their doctor, who urged them to go to the hospital. Tests showed a small bleed in her brain that needed prompt care. Because they acted quickly, Helen avoided permanent damage. Studies show that headaches triggered by exertion, coughing, or straining can sometimes be linked to pressure changes in the brain. Johns Hopkins neurologists often call these exertional red flags. They are not always dangerous. Sometimes they can be linked to sinus issues or migraines, but they are worth a medical evaluation, especially if they are sudden and intense. Let's bring this back to what you can do. Pay attention to patterns. If you notice headaches that show up when you do simple things like bending, coughing, or even laughing, make a note of it. Tell your doctor exactly what triggers them. These details can help uncover problems early when treatment is most effective. I know this might feel a little overwhelming hearing about these serious examples, but think about why we are talking about this. This isn't about living in fear. This is about paying close attention and giving yourself the best chance to stay well. When you know the warning signs, you're in a stronger position to act, and that is empowering. If you're still watching and finding these lessons valuable, please comment the number 1 below. It lets me know you're still with me and that this time we're spending together is truly helping you. Thank you for your precious time and trust. Let's keep going because there's still more that could help you stay healthy and live with confidence. We have talked about headaches that are new and different ones that grow steadily worse, and those that come with strange neurological changes or are triggered by simple actions like bending or coughing. But there is one more red flag that is so important, and it is one many people tend to dismiss because they think they are just getting older or more tired. That red flag is a headache that comes with other concerning physical changes, like unexplained weight loss, fever, or even seizures. Let me tell you about Gloria, a 74-year-old grandmother who loved to bake every Sunday for her church group. She had tension headaches on and off for years, nothing serious. But over a couple of months, she noticed something else happening alongside them. She started losing weight even though she was eating normally. She felt exhausted all the time, and one morning she had a headache so severe, it left her sitting on the edge of her bed in tears. Later that week, she experienced a sudden seizure while reaching for a pan in the kitchen. Her family rushed her to the hospital, and the doctors discovered a lesion that needed immediate attention. Because her family acted quickly, she received treatment in time to prevent further damage. Doctors emphasize that when headaches are joined by other systemic symptoms, things like unexplained weight loss, persistent low-grade fever, or seizures, it raises concern for conditions beyond simple tension headaches. A report in the Lancet Neurology explains that these accompanying symptoms often indicate something affecting the whole body or the brain in a more serious way. This is why they say never ignore those added clues your body's giving you. Now, you might be wondering, what does this mean for you day to day? It means paying attention not just to the headache itself, but to everything else your body's telling you. If you find that you are losing weight without trying, or you are experiencing fevers that do not seem to go away, or you have even a single seizure, combine that information with your headache patterns and talk to a doctor right away. These details matter. They can be the difference between catching a problem early and letting it grow unchecked. I know some of this sounds frightening, and I want to pause here and reassure you. Most headaches are not dangerous. Tension headaches, sinus headaches, even migraines can all be managed and lived with. But by learning these 4 red flags, new and different headaches that worsen over time, headaches with neurological symptoms, and headaches with serious physical changes, you are giving yourself power. You are giving yourself the ability to catch something early, to protect your health, and to keep living the life you love. Think about Margaret, Richard, Samuel, Helen, and Gloria. Each of them faced something frightening, but because they paid attention and sought help, they were able to keep enjoying their gardens, their fishing trips, their card games, and their time with family. That is why this matters. Small decisions like making that doctor's appointment can change the course of your life. So as we close, I want to thank you for giving me your time and your trust. You have learned what to look for, what signs not to ignore, and now you can move forward with confidence. Before you go, I would love to hear from you. So what was the one lesson today that really hit home for you? Please share one habit you plan on adopting in your life to take better care of yourself. I read every single comment, and it means the world to hear your stories. And if you found this video helpful, please take a moment to like it and subscribe to the channel. That way, you will never miss out on more guidance that could help you stay healthy and live fully. Here's to living your best life at any age. You deserve it, you are worth it, and you are not alone on this journey.